Welcome back, everyone. I'm your host, and today we are doing a complete grade makeover audit. We're stepping into the exam prep kitchen to dissect one of the most notoriously messy, high-tariff parts of the Cambridge AS and A-level Arabic language exam, Passage 1's 5-mark grammatical manipulation section. You know the one. Whether it's tricky case endings, your A-rob, or wrestling with complex verb forms, these 5 specific marks literally make or break your final grade. By the end of this explainer, we're going to take those raw, failing ingredients and rebuild them into a perfect A-star response. Let's get right into it.
So we really need to address the elephant in the room right off the bat. Why are so many incredibly capable, well-prepared candidates dropping these seemingly accessible 5 marks? It's honestly a trap, and it catches students out year after year. Picture this. You're under the pressure of the clock, the adrenaline is pumping, and it's so incredibly easy to just slip into autopilot. You spot a grammar question and boom, your brain immediately tries to force a rigid, memorized textbook rule onto the page. But as we're going to see, that generic recipe is exactly the disaster the examiners are waiting for.
If we pull out the digital red marker and dissect these disaster responses line by line, principal examiner reports reveal a super clear pattern. These are the top 3 fatal flaws straight from the people holding the grading pens. Number 1, using the completely wrong approach for the specific context. It's like using salt instead of sugar. Number 2, and this one hurts, forgetting your formatting and presentation conventions. This happens when you just rush the writing process. And number 3, serving up generic answers that totally lack specific contextual details. These aren't necessarily gaps in your Arabic knowledge, guys. They are critical errors in your execution. Here's our makeover roadmap for today. We're hitting 1, the 5-mark trap, 2, core principles, 3, the procedural framework, 4, comparative analysis, and finally, 5, method marks. Section 1, the 5-mark trap, where we learn that context is literally everything. The absolute most crucial point here is this. Using a generic approach instead of answering for the specific context given is going to bleed your points dry. Memorization simply isn't going to cut it at this advanced tier. The examiners are specifically testing your ability to adapt your grammatical toolkit to the unique, nuanced context of Passage 1. If you just slap down the textbook definition for Inadofa without linking it directly back to how that specific genitive construct is actually functioning in the sentence, in that specific paragraph, yeah, you are walking right into the trap.
Section 2, Core Theoretical Principles. Let's look at the academic benchmarks.
Okay, the theoretical architecture of this test absolutely demands that you integrate precise grammatical definitions and causal relationships with other areas of the syllabus. This is what the principal examiner reports highlight as the ultimate differentiator. The top-tier candidates, they never view grammar in a vacuum. They completely understand how a shift in grammatical structure, like moving from active to passive voice or altering an obscene, directly changes the tone and the comprehension of the entire text. They see the interconnected web of the language. To pull that off, your conceptual framework has to rely on 3 key pillars: systematic analysis, evidence-based reasoning, and transferable conceptual understanding. You can't just throw things at the wall and hope they stick. You have to systematically dissect the text and use hard evidence from the passage to back up your grammar choices. The assessment framework heavily prioritizes this kind of analytical depth over superficial breadth. It's all about proving the logical reasoning behind why a manipulation works. Moving to Section 3, the procedural framework, your step-by-step execution guide. Before we recook our response, I want to quickly pause. If you want to stop serving up average grades and unlock this secret recipe for an A-star, make sure you subscribe to Ace the Exams right now and hit that notification bell. Okay, let's look at this non-negotiable 6-step checklist. Step 1, deconstruct the question. What's the actual command? Step 2, extract your data. Step 3, select your framework. Step 4, execute with clear notation. Step 5, verify, and Step 6, present it correctly. When students hit a massive roadblock with sentence connections, following this exact sequence rescues the flow. It drastically reduces careless errors.
Let's zoom in on presentation, because Cambridge is famously strict about these conventions. It's not just about, oh, does my handwriting look pretty? No, this is a rigidly graded component. You have to use proper headings, apply the correct academic terminology, use the right structural formats, and provide crystal clear annotations. If your practical application is a messy disaster, or you're using colloquial phrasing instead of proper Arabic grammatical terms, you are basically throwing those 5 marks in the trash.
Section 4, comparative analysis execution. We are going way beyond the basics here. Okay, let's do a quick interactive workshop. Imagine a complex comparative question on the screen. When you're asked to compare, it is never, ever enough to just point out how two grammatical structures are similar. You absolutely must identify both similarities and differences. You've got to find that winning argument point by contrasting them. And here's the secret sauce. You need to use comparative connectives like bayanama for while or min nahiya ukhra for on the other hand to link those ideas. You're drawing direct conclusions about their relationships. The candidates who snag those 5-star presentations take this analysis a step further. They show true evaluative thinking. How? Well, they question basic text assumptions. They consider completely different grammatical perspectives. And most importantly, they justify every single decision with bulletproof textual evidence. Think of the Peel structure here. Point, evidence, evaluation, link. You have to tell the examiner exactly why a grammatical choice shifts the meaning, and then prove it using the passage to rescue the text flow. Section 5. Maximizing your method marks. Let's talk about your safety net. When you're problem solving, you need a mantra. Try deconstruct, solve, evaluate. Let's break it down into logical steps. First, identify your given info. Second, break the problem into chunks. Third, solve it systematically. Fourth, check if it's actually reasonable. And fifth, make your justified recommendations. Why is this breakdown so absolutely critical? Because if you hide a critical error in your paragraph, this process proves your analytical thinking on paper. It makes your brainwaves totally visible to the examiner. And that brings us to a massive, absolute game changer of a point. Listen to this direct quote from the source material. Examiner alert. Students lose marks by not showing working. Even if your final answer is wrong, method marks can save you. Read that again. I am completely serious. Cambridge literally awards marks for the process. If you write down a final manipulated sentence and it's totally botched, you get 0. But if you show your logical steps, use the right terms, make those cross-topic connections, even if the final execution is slightly off, those method marks act as a safety net that can literally rescue your grade. So I have to ask, if method marks can single-handedly save your grade, why on earth would you ever leave them on the table? The next time you face a complex Arabic text, ask yourself, am I just blindly hunting for the right answer, or am I actively proving to the examiner exactly how I think? Remember our 3 golden rules of exam prep. Adapt to the context, follow the procedural framework, and always, always show your work. Don't forget to subscribe to Ace the Exams, turn on those notifications, and drop a comment below with the subject and level you find the absolute hardest. See you in the next explainer.